And I'm included.
Okay, hello. We are here again for another episode of Talkin Bout Things. I'm here with somebody I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with, new member to the community, I believe, KSI FuzzyMeep, I believe. I think that's proper. How you doing
Yeah,
today?
we go by Meap.
Meap. Must be a New England
I'm
thing.
doing just swell.
So,
Not bad at all.
So we got you on here. I think I said on the first episode we wouldn't have any board members, but I'm pressed for people since I won't, be here to record next week. So why don't you just introduce yourself to the stream, since I don't think anyone is familiar with who you are.
Well, KSI FuzzyMeep 7, the executive chairman of KSI, have been since 2011. Very nice. Been in the community since 08. I hang out. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And that's, that's all I got.
Oh, well, very nice. So why don't you tell people what it feels like to be on such a wonderful podcast?
So far, exhilarating. What I would describe with, I've never done ecstasy, but I assume it's close to, if not above.
Well, I thank you.
And I'm just excited to talk about, things.
No stuff,
and
though.
stuff
We don't.
and junk.
No, we don't talk about stuff.
Oh shit!
You've listened.
I apologize. I'm also
You've
gonna try
listened
not
enough.
to swear too.
Oh, yeah, you're the first guest to swear. Normally, I'm the only one who screws up.
Yep. All right. No stuff.
Only things. That's a different podcast that we haven't started yet. We'll get it started eventually.
All right.
But
well, that was a mess.
so why don't you tell me? I think a good place to start is something that I think always comes back to you, and you're always really not sure why. Do you want to address the rumors that you're going to be retiring at some point? I feel like you make a point about this like every couple weeks, and people just don't listen. They act like it's secret.
Yeah, it's something I've brought up many times on many different streams, and yet people still have, I don't know, they just kind of make up stories or rumors begin that I'm just going to disappear all of a sudden or what have not, but no, it's the beginning of 2019 is my intended date. Probably the award show. Most likely be my retirement date, which at least that's the going plan. Figure at that point I'd have been running this community for it'd be about 7 years and 7 months at that point, and I'll even pretend and say that the 7 plays something into it, but it absolutely does not. And I think it's just time. I think I'll always be around in a capacity one way or another, but at the end of the day, I've had a good run here. I like this community. We've done a lot of fun things, but I think it's time for someone else to give it a shot.
And I think that the KSI pension plan is about $7 a year. I think it is. No dental, no health.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, we can't afford that. I'm lobbying for it to be raised to $16.
Oh, the price of inflation. We haven't refigured it since like '07.
And that's what it is, Things have changed and things are more expensive, Go try to buy a gallon of milk for $1.50. Not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, you need that $16 to buy things. I don't know what you'd buy, but has to be something. So, I think the community
not much for $7. That's the problem.
I think the community's gone a little bit of a transformation over the last couple years. It feels like the community finds a way to reinvent itself every couple years. Do you want to just talk a little bit about some of the changes you've seen recently within the last year or two? Some of the things that have come on to change how you view how the community operates?
Well, I've enjoyed a quote that an old admin said, JT, that the only constant in KSI is change. Which, for anyone who's been around long enough, it's not always applicable all the time, but for the most time, it's about right. Things are constantly adapting, improving, hopefully improving. And this year so far, in the last couple years, we've really made a big change on how we kind of operate just overall. As far as web ops departments, we've changed departments completely. That was a large in part you, and then a lot of the department heads who have been constant for the last several months to a couple years, and actually doing it in an accessible manner. But we've kind of made that more of a focus to be like a third of KSI. We were always web ops and clan ops, but I feel like we were failing on the idea that we could function without departments. And I think that's the problem with a lot of communities out there, is they only put weight on clan ops, and they really don't put much on the other areas, and they assume that those things will just occur, and if they don't occur, it doesn't hurt anybody. But I'm 100% with the idea that you need everything, all the components to actually make it function correctly. And it's really hard to talk and play this game at all. I'm 100% distracted.
Oh,
I'm not
absolutely.
giving you my all whatsoever on either capacity.
No, and it still blows my mind that I was able to, when we recorded this show with Riot, since I won't be able to do one next week, I don't know how I got like 30-something kills in Battlefield. I really don't. It's definitely not easy. I don't think that I've had a winning record again with anybody that I played with, and I don't think it's necessarily just skill-based. I think that whenever you're talking, you just don't know what's going on. Just kind of is a blur.
Yeah, it just drains me. It's difficult.
Feels crazy we gave up 6 goals already. Who knows? But
yeah, no, a department's big thing. Web ops have really, I've been really making the approach to get more things updated and changed and whatever, just things that the members want, that anybody wants, that we see as a positive, then let's just do it. There's been times, and God love Lucy. I think Lucy's brought up in every one of your podcasts so far, and I love him to death, but he was a hardcore idea of like, well, whatever we have is good, and whatever we want besides this is unnecessary. And just a lot of those philosophies don't really work with me, because I like updating and changing things and doing whatever I can. And then even clan ops in general, that's really gone through some transformations. I mean, there was a 2-year period where only 2 seniors got promoted. Like, that's absurd. That's just absolutely crazy. I can't even fathom that.
we promoted
And
like
and I
2
really was
seniors in
out
the last
and doing.
month.
Yeah, we promoted a whole bunch. And just over the time, and that's why I think we just, I don't know, we were holding ourselves back for a time period. And I think we've done a lot better job at really bringing this community forward where it has to be. Oh, very nice.
Well, thank you.
And we missed out on that for a bit. And whatever, there's plenty of people to blame. There's groupthink and whatever else, but we just weren't as progressive as a community as we should have been. And I think we've come a long way, definitely in the last 2 years.
So, I want to try something new. We'll try a little segment. I haven't tried yet. This is word association. I'm just going to yell out some sort of word, and I want you to just say what comes to mind. We'll figure out.
Boy.
Okay, let's try it. And these aren't even written down. I literally just came up with this idea 20 seconds ago, but like all great ideas, it's just the spur of the moment. The guy who created Underpants didn't know what he was doing till we had him. So, first off, KSI.
Knowledge, strength, integrity.
Oh, okay. Knowledge.
Strength, integrity. I don't know. The basis of our community. Knowledge is power.
Okay. Friendship.
Trust.
I was
Kinship.
I was
Bond.
waiting for you to say overrated, but that works too. FuzzyMeep.
Tired.
Oh.
Just currently, not philosophically.
What else do we got here? Rocket League.
Oh, God, miserable.
That's like everything in your life at this point, I feel. It's all very sad.
No, it's not bad. I don't know. You can't. I feel like I'm not giving you my all. I'm really already upset in how this whole podcast has gone.
No, it's gone fine. This
Should
is
have played
everything.
Battlefield.
You should learn that all my podcasts are absolutely just, I'm going to curse again, shit shows. Just wait, the Riot one is going to be wonderful. Just a terrible, terrible, terrible example.
Well, I'm excited to listen to that.
Well, I'm basically just colliding it with friends. We're just going to, talk to friends. And then eventually, I told Riot one of these days I'm going to use it to meet new people I haven't met yet in the community, which is going to be terrible. Because
that'd be fun.
No, that podcast would literally, I already made the joke, because I'll say it again, 2 weeks in a row, 2 shows in a row. got a message from Nebula. Guess he's been watching him. He likes him. And he told me to keep up the good work. And so that's definitely a guy I think I want on this podcast because he's obviously a supporter and we got to help
I think you'd enjoy Nebby. He's a good kid.
I'm sure he is. From what I've seen from him, what I know of him, he seems good. But knowing so little about him, we would start the show, and I'd be like, so, how about that weather? And that would be the only one. That's all I got. I have nothing else.
Yeah,
but,
maybe it's just word association. I don't think I can ever answer anything in one word. It's like literally impossible for me. I can't even discuss simple concepts without at least an hour and a half block.
I should have tried to catch you off guard with one. I should have tried to, goat you into like saying something terribly, oh, Fuzzy did a racism. Look at that.
Well, that's always possible.
But, you've been around the community for a while. I think you're kind of the pillar up top, even if you don't like being called, you don't like it called Fuzzy's KSI. But you've been around, and so what would I just want to know, what would you say what would be your lasting legacy? What's the thing you're most proud of? I asked Riot this question. He said he was most proud of creating LB, and then he changed it to the SH Socialist Prison Party Uprising of 2013. But no, what would you say you're most proud of in this community that you've done personally during your years here?
I think it'll just be just innovation. I don't know about innovation, but like my goal at least would be one of like the only leaders of any communities to not be ousted against their will. And I'm probably one of the few out of, again, any communities around that came up at a certain rank. Oh, they're not even playing. Like started literally, started from the bottom, now I'm here. But literally, I mean, I can't think of like the leaders of XGN, XGC, obviously .com. Like most places just don't have people who started from the bottom, and I don't know. Hopefully I just created a better environment for people gaming. That's all I wanted to do. At the end of the day, that was the whole goal, and to not have a coup under me and get ousted overnight.
There's still
Which
time,
hopefully
man.
I'll avoid that as well.
There's still time.
There is a night. Every 12 hours there's an opportunity.
I mean, if you ask me, if you already have your planned retirement date, what's the difference if that day is literally a day of celebration or a day of pitchforks and fire?
Well, this is true.
Oh, did I steal your goal?
No, it was alright.
I don't really know how that went in.
No, I probably would have missed.
Well, I do want to go ahead and say to anyone listening to this podcast, please put the pitchforks away. He doesn't want a coup. That's not what he wants. We can just, like, kind of let you go. We can just,
Yeah, and whatever, I'll never escape. Also, and then that's, like, another big fear of mine is retiring. And then, and again, being in, like, other communities, people who've been around know what I mean. And, like, I don't want to overshadow anybody, or I don't want to, like, put my opinion where it doesn't belong and undermine anybody. So, I mean, it'll be a delicate process, but I don't mind. I don't mind just admitting. It's actually something I was never really big into before this last year. And I'm actually starting to learn it slowly but surely. I was only an admin in training for like 5 years. And I've kind of figured it out since then. So I don't mind just helping out and doing that. So I'll never be gone, but...
If you had to pick any rank to be in this community, what would it be? What rank is your favorite? What rank would be the one you would be most happy in?
Probably director. I always liked director. It was close enough to director, but I get to keep my divisions. The way we've done director the last few years, people spread around their divisions, and we change them up every few months. And it's actually an efficient system that, whatever, it's worked out very well. But I really like director. That was probably my favorite rank outside of being this position. That was my absolute favorite rank being. You got to work with each division. You got to watch the progression of leadership. You got to help. And you get to train. And you didn't have to deal with all of the incredibly petty stuff. Kind of more just the bigger issues.
The bigger petty stuff.
Doing that, and then doing like 2 or 3 different divisions at a time. I don't know. That was definitely my favorite rank. I mean, I was happy as hell when I got to senior, but I genuinely enjoyed director.
Well, you like doing 2 or 3 divisions at a time. I see that you're a Menage a Trois fan.
Yes. Yes, that's precisely it.
Very dignified, I see. I know we've always made the point, too, that General's a real fun rank at the lower levels, at the squad-based levels. General's a real fun one to have that control. I think I've heard you say that before, but...
Well, it was funny, actually. General wasn't my cup of tea. I liked co-founder. But then again, that also goes with my director stance, since they kind of mimic each other. General is definitely a good rank, but I think I had a lot more fun at co-founder. Because again, I had like... I don't know. Sometimes I get bored talking to people, or like if I don't mesh with someone well, then it's hard for me to work with them. And like at that position, I probably had more options to talk to people. So if I was trying to help somebody and they were driving me nuts, I could just not talk to them for a few days. Where general, division leader, you're kind of stuck with them every single day. So maybe like not oversaturate myself with specific things. But yeah, I definitely co-founder was a lot of fun. Although I'm like 100% sure I was looking over my 2 squads and a third one that I wasn't supposed to, but I thought I was supposed to when I was a co-founder. And then when I got promoted, I was like, oh, but alright, who's going to be looking over these 3? And they're like, well, these 2 will be looked over by your replacement, so-and-so. And they're like, and I don't know what you're talking about with this other one. And I was like, oh, well, I've been looking over that for months. So like, the other guy's supposed to be doing that. And I was like, oh, well, he hasn't been, so... I already know my first move as a founder is probably demote him, but I'd hate to make enemies.
Well, when you got to co-founder, I know there was a long time where co-founders weren't 7s ranks, right? Because co-founder for a long time was founders. Founders
co-founder was just co-founder, but it was not a 7's position. They didn't consider you upper management until you became a founder.
So,
and we changed that in 2011, I believe, or 12, because that's like the first time you're out of a squad. So in theory, that's the first time you're more of a managerial position. So I mean, if that's what we're calling a leader who you're supposed to go to for advice or blah 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 and be a mentor to, I mean that's the perfect time would be a co-founder, not founder. But yeah, we changed that.
So then what was Ancient Fuzzy's take on getting founder? What was it like when you finally got that 7?
I was definitely stoked. It definitely meant a lot because I really enjoyed my division. Anyone who knows me or knows my history knows I like Semperfi. That was like my division. I also liked Firestorm a lot, which a lot of the guys I know throughout the years are from both, like Rebel, Uber, and whatnot. But Semperfi was just like, I found my niche there. They were my style of people. They remind me of people from like my fire department. They were the Bad News Bears, we used to call ourselves. Every other division ran things real strict or however they did it, and we just kind of flew. I don't know. It was a little different. Oh my god, it's lagging all over and it's ruining my mindset here.
Was that the game?
But definitely moving up in that division, it meant the world to me. Because that was like, those are people I actually enjoyed. It wasn't a struggle to get online and go work with people. Like, they were all my friends. All the people below me, above me, it had a really strong relationship with everybody. And like the senior director over it, he might have been director at the time, was kind of the guy who mentored me a little bit by the time I got to director. And he was the one that promoted me to founder, which absolutely meant like a ton. And yeah, and I was still rogue, man. I was still 16, lying about my age, just praying I didn't get caught from my MySpace page. They could have taken me down.
Oh, so you were just... That's right. I forgot. Age requirements definitely changed. Because what? Yeah, you couldn't be you could be in the community at 16, I think, but it was like leadership, like 7 rank, you couldn't be 16, right?
No, it was strict because we based it on the MSRB ratings. So if you were in a Halo or it was only Halo divisions at that point, but in that game, if your main game was 17 or older, you were kicked out if you were under 17. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that were not 17. I remember the co-founder I mentioned earlier, the one who didn't do his job that great. One of the first times I met him, he was in a party with a kid who just was clearly like 11 or 12 tops. And, you know, he's talking, he's just a squeaker, and he's like, alright man, yeah, so welcome to the squad, blah blah blah, and if anyone asks, just tell them you're 17. And I was like, oh my god. I was like, I can't believe this is a thing. But you would just get kicked out if you were under 17. No one strike policy, no nothing, you were just gone. At least that's what they said. I didn't see it happen all too often, but.
No,
And we
so that
called
could have
his
been you.
squad Clown Care.
That could have been you. So
That's it.
This-
Could have
this
been me. And
brings in-
and I just know my personality. If they kicked me out when I was 16, it's whatever. I was a director when I was 16. So if I was 16 at any point and they had kicked me out because of my age, I would have told them all where to stick it, and I probably would have left and never come back.
well, that's the thing.
That would have
okay.
just burnt me.
Now, if you left, and you still were into the community, you were into the community aspect, you had to create a community. What name are you giving that community? And it could even be something you want to name a community now. What would it be?
I genuinely never have given any thought to naming or doing anything on my own. Even back then, even the night I was going to get kicked out, the night before we made this website, I was always KSI, we'd never been anything else. However, nowadays, I do have an idea for a retirement community for all of us old leaders who've been around for way too long, called Leaders Without Members. It's like Doctors Without Borders, but instead they're just people that are all seasoned, old, and cranky, and we don't do anything, and we don't let anyone join.
Everyone's a director. There are no divisions, though, to be a director over.
It'd be perfect. Everyone's equal, and nobody can join unless we all decide that you can join. And then if you join, you're a part of the same team, the Leaders Without Members. And we don't do anything. It's basically our only decision. I think it'd be perfect. I offered it to the leader of XGM. He was interested. He liked it. I offered it to a couple buddies over in .com. Who, well, not on speaking terms at the moment, but I've always talked the game. I always loved game. And he was also into it. Quite a few members in KSI. And that's it. Just Leaders Without Members. It'd be perfect. LMW? LMOW? Depends on how we word it. Probably LMW.
No, it would be LWM.
LWM, yeah, well. That's what I was going with.
I think it's just LWOM, right? Because it'd be without, so WOM, LWOM.
And I don't know if I want to be called LWOM Fuzzy. However, that does sound funny now that I've said it out loud.
Yeah, the guy who made his name FuzzyMeep based upon the idea that it was a dumb-sounding name, right? It was a name you couldn't be mad at.
Yeah, it's just a great name. And if people hold the name FuzzyMeep with any respect, that means you earned it. No one else just reads his name on a blank sheet and is like, oh, this is a guy who probably deserves a high level of respect. Like, no, that all comes from character. Nothing to do with the content of the name.
Yeah, FuzzyMeep sounds like the name of like a sergeant that's going to get booted out soon for inactivity.
Yeah. Or, a mess of other things. FuzzyMeep could have got booted out for a whole bunch of different things at one point or another.
Well, and actually, it's funny you say that because you have been blacklisted before.
I
You've been
have
banned
been
off the
blacklisted
forums.
before. I've been banned off the forums a few times.
Oh, I messed that up. But, you want to share some stories, just real quick blurbs?
Yeah, well, at one point in my career, I was in a secret society called Clan Black Ops, and this is before the Call of Duty Black Ops came out, so it wasn't as cheesy. And I was there under the orders of one of the security guys and one of our long-term members, Worst Player. And we basically were a little clan that nobody knew who each other were. We were all brought there by one main person, and everyone else had CBO names. And and we didn't talk about who our other gamer tags were. Obviously, some of us knew each other's voices, but whatever. It was very hush hush.
Like Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, and we hit a few. Oh boy, we hit a few different communities. And they were like, we never really did much. It was always like really small clan hitter communities that we kind of would just try to mess with and disassemble because people paid us to. So it was a shady thing, but I did it in the idea that I was there to make sure no one messed with KSI, in which no one messed with it. It got brought up a few times, and since I was a part of CBO, anyone who was a part of that community, their community couldn't get messed with. So it worked out. So now, oh, also a little tidbit, I named myself Big Bird because there was a guy named KSI Bird Flu, and I wasn't sure if he was a part of it, but I figured if I made my name Big Bird, people would instantly assume it was him and never question FuzzyMeep. So one day, Bill found out, 7-7, and it happened to be a trifecta because it was my 1-year anniversary. It was also the day I got my KSI t-shirt in the mail. And I got blacklisted that day for being a part of this community. So I stayed up late that night. I believe I drank Jameson. Oh my god, I was only like 17. I don't know how I got Jameson, probably my brother. And I sat in a party with Blush, who was a HR person for years and a sweetheart. And she just told me we'd figured out, not a big deal. I want to say I was I must have been a director at that point, right before I got senior. And I got hammered, and I threw up for the first time ever drinking. And I woke up the next morning, and I was unblacklisted, because worst player had talked to Bill, because all of this was already worked out previously. And he was just like, oh, I didn't know that, he's unblacklisted. But me being young and just scared and like the big blacklist word, that was it. I thought I was done for. So it wasn't bad, so that was fun.
Well,
I got banned a few times. I got banned from the courts the first day I ever got on the forums. I only got on the forums to argue for a friend of mine, who I've referenced before in my Road to General.
I think we should probably make a point, in case anyone is curious. We don't currently have Clan Black Ops. That's not a thing we do anymore. So, fret not. It sounds cool, though.
No. Things like that really aren't done often, ever. And it was stupid. It was a bunch of people who thought we were cooler than we were. And, you know, was there... But there used to be a lot of people who genuinely hit a lot of communities. That was kind of like the community landscape in Halo 2, was a lot of people would get into different, the Halo 2 squads and go from peon and move up. And then they would delete everybody. So, like, clan hitting was still a big thing in poaching. But for me, again, I think we made $15 overall. Maybe doing like one small community who was booting people at the time. And we just went in there and kind of just made enough questions to their leadership to where it appeared that we were just kind of like undermining them. But it was one of those things as a startup. And nowadays I look back on it, I'm like, that was stupid. Those things would have been dead within a month anyways. But yeah, no, nobody should do that. There are people who are still given money to do these things, but those people are POSs. And generally don't do very well. But yeah, that was not a KSI thing. That just happened to be involved with a few KSI people.
Well, you know what's crazy is we're already 28 minutes into this. This is the last game. This is the last game of the podcast.
Oh, it's not bad.
Dumpster fire of a podcast that I always run. I try to make, these shows a lot like me, which is incredibly disappointing, very sad, very disorganized, and just interesting enough to keep you attached and engaged, but it never really has a payoff. There's never a payoff here. You listen the whole time just waiting for this great story, and it never really happens. Though I think, we always get interesting conversation. But,
yeah, that's all you're going for.
Now, I do want to ask you, since I always wonder what my guests think, who would you like to see as a future guest on Talkin Bout Things?
That's tough, because, obviously, there's a lot of very interesting board members. I almost feel like you'd want to get the Brabras on as a trio. Because that would make for you'd have to do an hour. That'd have to be a special, I would assume.
Oh, yeah, like when Top Gear goes to other countries.
Then who else? I actually think Neb's not a bad idea. He's a good kid. Definitely a little excitable in the LW chats. Basically, any of the directors, any of the seniors would be fun. Ronan, he is just so relaxed. I would love to see his insight on a few different things.
Well, I do have to tell you, one other person that would be on the list would be Chicago. are journeymen.
Oh, absolutely.
And I had to laugh because Chicago did send me something on Kick while we were playing. And he said that your idea for a retirement community, no joke, sounds like the Pirates Who Don't Do Anything from VeggieTales. And he gave me a DVD cover that literally is a VeggieTales movie, The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
We could claim to be pirates and not do anything as well.
Well, you can't take the exact
I'm 100%
idea.
okay with that.
It would have to be a little bit different. Instead of pirates, maybe the Vikings. Instead of who do nothing, it has to be a little bit different, I think. But yeah, just make a little bit of a play on it.
Very little.
Yeah. So the Vikings who do very little. I think that would be a very good retirement idea.
Yeah, but I'm standing strong. I mean, After Sexment also is a great little organization. But if I were to have to make a clan or a community, definitely be leaders without members.
I do think After Sexman is KSI's best kept secret.
Absolutely.
These two shows, last week and this week, are going to really blow the lid off of that one, and I feel like we're going to have to open up some sort of initiation process for people who are going to be dying to get into it. I think it's a wonderful organization with
I
no real
imagine
cause.
like sacrificing kittens. Not actually doing it, but getting them to mentally justify that they could do it to join. That's like enough, you know?
Oh, no, yeah, you feel
Is that too far?
I think it's a little too far. I think that really for After Sex Mint, all we have to do is get them to come up with, something cool, some sort of product idea. Maybe we're an entrepreneur club, like we're just coming up with ideas. We're inventors. We just come up with business ideas. They got to pitch us the best business idea that they have, the best invention they have.
Or they just have to tell us a really funny joke. I feel like both are a perfect qualifier.
And the only thing is, all four of us, you, me, Riot, and Gary, we all have to agree that the joke is funny. And I learned earlier today that Riot doesn't get wordplay. If you try a pun, it will go over his head. He will not get it. But, I think
try your best with them.
I think we're at our time. I think that we've hit it. I think we did a good job. I think this is a good episode. If it's not, well, we're kind of stuck with it. We might do a part 2 at some point.
Yeah.
And we'll redeem ourselves. I don't know. Every episode is its own little bit of variety and a little bit of disappointment. So, Fuzzy, feel free to tell the people goodbye, and we're gonna get out of here.
Goodbye, people.
Oh, that was I thought it would be a speech, but that's good.
No.
Goodbye, people. I think it works. Okay.